Alright, Quicksilver Storm, let's talk about it. This is the new exotic auto rifle that you get from pre-ordering Lightfall. As far as I'm aware, this seems to be the only way to get this exotic. This does show up in the Monument to Lost Lights under Lightfall Exotics, but if you click to acquire it, it will prompt you to pre-order, leading me to believe if you do not pre-order, you will have to wait till Lightfall to earn this weapon in-game, which leads to a question of, is this weapon good enough to justify me pre-ordering this right now? Well, I took the plunge, pre-ordered, and will give you my impressions of it in PvE and PvP, and the need to know to help you decide if it's worth it or not. First, I want to start off by stating I really love the look of this weapon. Really sets the mood of what's to come with Lightfall, and it definitely looks like something you would probably see on the Cloud Striders that will be introduced in Lightfall. Quicksilver Storm is a 720 RPM auto rifle, so think about the likes of Crate and Sweet Sorrow. Those are probably the most popular of the archetype, and this thing is rocking a maxed 100 stability, so going to be very easy to control, especially with that recoil direction being at an 88, so you won't have to fight with this too much to keep it on target. That 100 stability is also going to give you much less flinch to worry about in PvP. Moving on, the exotic trait is called Rocket Tracers. This is where landing multiple hits turns your next shot into a homing micro rocket. And yep, you heard that correctly, that didn't say precision hits or precision kills. As long as you do damage, you will proc Rocket Tracers. I believe it's about every 9 shots or so, and a mini micro rocket will come out seeking enemies. And a side note that I noticed about this is that it does seem that if you kill an enemy before this rocket comes out, it will try and trace to the next closest target. That's not all for this weapon though, as it also comes with the perk Grenade Chaser. This is going to load the weapon with grenades for landing those rockets. This only stacks up to 3 times though. The way to use those grenades is to long hold your reload, where it will essentially transform your auto rifle into a literal grenade launcher. Pretty badass if you ask me. That said, after every grenade shot, you will have to do a reload animation, making it much slower than pulling out, let's say, a heavy grenade launcher where you can just unload. So how is this in PvE? I like it. It's not going to win any awards for being the best weapon to grace the land of PvE, but I feel in PvE is where it's the most consistent. Normally plenty of enemies to shoot to proc those mini rockets, and thus allowing you to proc Grenade Chaser much more often. The damage for the micro rockets isn't anything insane, but my initial thought when using this weapon and seeing those micro rockets in action was, oh, this is gonna be nuts in PvP. I'll get back to that thought later though. As for the grenades, once again the damage isn't anything too crazy, probably similar in damage to a special grenade launcher, but the proximity of these is almost laughable. You practically have to hit your target right on, because if not, the damage will be even less remarkable, or you straight up just won't hit anything with it at all. That said, the whole aspect of being able to just shoot an enemy and then from the same weapon transform it into a grenade launcher is pretty cool. And with this, I think the big thing this brings to the table is just a new way to use a weapon, and it just being a fun weapon. But you probably won't be taking this into a Grandmasters or anything like that. Next up, PvP. Remember when I said those micro rockets would probably be nuts in PvP? Well, they kinda aren't. I mean, when they land, it's great, but it almost seems kind of situational, like you need to be out in the open as well as your enemy to really get them to land. The way the trajectory comes out tends to end up with it either hitting walls, or if your enemy is good about cover, it will more than often hit what they are ducking behind instead. Because of this, it makes it very hard to proc the second trait, which is getting those grenades. If you manage to get any grenades loaded, it almost feels not worth it to even use, as the damage is less than what you would get with a special grenade launcher. Unless you're running a sidearm or some kind of weapon you could switch to quickly after firing, it will leave you a sitting duck, especially since the reload on this thing is pretty slow. It also doesn't help that this is a 720 RPM auto rifle. You can make these work, but you don't see them too often in the Crucible. The stats of Quicksilver Storm do help it a ton, and the sights on it I actually quite like, but you might struggle finding a reason to give up your exotic slot for it. So, should you pre-order Lightfall for this weapon? Especially if you're planning on buying Lightfall with the annual pass that will cost you a little over $100 with tax? I'm gonna give it a no. If you aren't the type to pre-order but are still a huge Destiny fan, don't worry about missing out on this one. It's not a necessity in PvE, and I can't see this causing any waves in PvP anytime soon. It's a fun little auto rifle with a little spin to it, but you'll probably end up vaulting it faster than you think due to it not standing out as a must-have in PvP or PvE. If you already intend on pulling the plug early though regardless, Quicksilver Storm functions more as just a little treat to give you a taste of what's to come in Lightfall. With that though, I appreciate you guys for stopping by and checking out the video. I hope you have a good day, and peace.